would like to call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board to order at 7:05 p.m. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Altamont students, would you please lead us? What do we say at school?
Salute flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Do you want to do the student presentation from Altamont?
Sure.
Okay.
At this time, we can do the student presentation from Altamont Elementary, and I apologize, I did not introduce Mr. Yeager and the students from Altamont who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
It's quite okay, Mr. Palumbo. So, good evening, members of the board. Sorry, please help me with your name.
Samantha.
Samantha, student representative or trustee Samantha. Trustee Goodrich, trustee Clements, trustee Lampel, board president Mr. Pombo, Dr. Nicholas, and Mrs. Kaiser, and Ms. Balzerini. So it's great to see you, and it's wonderful for us to come, and I'm excited to introduce my students who are going to talk to us a little bit about the wonderful STEM club that we have at Altamont Elementary School. Before I introduce them, I would love to acknowledge first the wonderful teacher who runs the STEM club, Mrs. Deborah Ritchie over here. I was telling some people over here that it's very exciting to see when adults pursue something with so much passion and love, and she has really put so much passion and love into this club and developing it and providing just such a wonderful experience for her students. So we're lucky to have two of them here tonight. So we have second grader Neil Sisadaya, and we also have Ananki Kaur, and they're going to tell us a little bit about their experience in STEM Club.
Hi, I'm Nanki Kaur in Miss Ritchie's classroom. Today I'm going to talk about STEM Club. STEM Club stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. If you turn it into STEAM, it's Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math.
And Neil, can you tell us who are we as a STEM club, what students are in it, and how many?
I think it's 40
Wow.
or 25.
Closer to 40, I think, Neil. And what grades are in the STEM club, Neil?
Second to fifth.
All right. And what do we do in the STEM club?
We launch new ideas. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, we go back, find out why it didn't work. And if we move on to something else and we have extra time, we might be able to find out why it didn't work and retest it and see if it works this time. If it doesn't work, just try again until it works.
Okay. And Ananki, what have we learned in STEM club?
We've learned how to use inclined planes, and we've learned how to use Ozobots, which are tiny robots that follow certain codes and follow that code and do it.
And both Ananki and Neil, if you could tell us, what do we like most about STEM club?
I like most about STEM Club. The most thing I like about STEM Club is that we do coding and we learn about coding and we use fun robots and learn from what we use and do. And also we get to work with our friends.
And Neil, what do you like most about STEM Club?
Is that it's that we have new projects we see, and it mostly works, and it's like we're trying new ideas and seeing if it works. And if we'll see if it works, then we'll be happy. But if it doesn't, then we'll just think about it. Why did it work?
All right, so wonderful job. Ananki and Neil, can you thank the board for giving us this opportunity?
Thank you for letting us give us an opportunity to talk about STEM Club.
And thank you for
giving
telling
us an
us.
opportunity for
Thank you for the opportunity. That's perfect. All right.
Thank you for telling us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, students, for the information. You guys and students like you are why we're all here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great
Parents,
job.
Second graders to get up there and speak like that, I'm very impressed.
And I just wanted to point it out that when Anankia was talking about coding, I was having trouble helping Samantha get her computer turned on earlier this night. So the future is bright.
Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Absent.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Ann Goodrich.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Samantha D. Tiberis.
Here.
At this time, I would like to call for a moment of silence for a teacher we lost recently, Tawny Zimlock. And I would like to read a statement from the Teachers Union. The passing of our colleague Tawny Zimlock was shocking and devastating. She was a great friend to many and an advocate for all teachers. Her services were held over winter break and were private at the request of the family. We wanted to do something to honor Tawny and to provide an opportunity for others to say goodbye. Please join us Friday, January 20th at 2 p.m. in the Cuesta Gym to celebrate Tawny's life. If you would like, there will be an opportunity to share a memory or story. Thank you for all your continued support. And it's signed Michelle Montero and Rebecca Mavis. Tawny will be dearly missed by many in this district. She was a nice lady and a wonderful teacher, and she will be missed. Committee reports and reassignment. The Facilities Use Committee has not had a meeting since our last board meeting. We've not yet scheduled the next meeting, and at this time I would like to ask if any of the other board members would be interested in joining me on the Facilities Committee. We have
Mr. President, can I add one thing before we start? There's one thing that needs to be amended to the agenda, and in order to formally get the agenda rolling. Mr. Pombo was not given an agenda that says any approvals or corrections to the agenda.
and I was told about it, but I forgot about it. I apologize for that.
So in the most beautiful definition of irony, we can't amend the agenda because the thing that we do it with is off the agenda. So if I would like to correct the record and say that we need to add that portion.
So I guess I
Is
no
that a
longer.
move to correct the agenda? Is that what we're looking for? Move to correct the agenda,
Correct.
as discussed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. What if we said no?
Then I would stammer a little bit longer up here, I suppose. All right, and since I already gave my facilities report, non-report, I would like to ask if any other board members would like to join me on the facilities committee. I think we firmed up the assignments for the other committees, but. Did I still skip it?
The change to the agenda was what you just approved, which was we have to add the section to say, no, there are no changes.
Are there any other changes to the agenda?
No, sir.
I'm guessing that there,
No, sir. And we'll, it's hard to catch omission when it's omitted. We discovered that, so I apologize. That's on me. So now the agenda corrections have been made. There are no other agenda corrections. And yes.
I will move to approve the agenda as presented with the one correction of amendments to the agenda.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
It's the wind. It blew the sanity out of the room.
Happens.
Mr. President, on your question on the committee assignments, can you go over who's assigned to what? Because I don't think Ann has been added.
Yes. Currently, well, the proposed additions are, well, the changes and the current ones as they stand. I will continue on the Facilities Committee. Trustees Balzerini and Clements will be on the DAC Committee. Clements and Lampel will continue on DLAC. Gate will be Lampel and Goodrich. Grant writing will be Lampel and Goodrich. Trustee Balzerini will continue on with the safety and crisis response, and I will continue on with wellness.
I can try to serve on it, on facilities with you. It's 3 committees is going to be tough, but I can try.
All right, we can put you down and see how it works.
Well, which is the one? So gate is like quarterly? Gate is quarterly? Every other month. Every other month. So I could split some of the facilities with you on when you can't make it, but I need to know in advance.
I think that's up to the president if he wants to entertain something like that.
Or does it not matter if Colin can't be there?
I
Okay.
think any of the committees, if
I really didn't need another one anyway.
if a board member
Just trying to be nice.
can't make it to that committee, which is the reason why I like to have 2,
Yeah.
so that if one can't make it and the other one can, we still have board representation on the committee. But I think we're okay like that with the addition of Trustee Clements on the Facilities Committee.
I will do my dead level best.
All right.
Okay.
Very well. So to continue on with committee reports, is there a committee report from the DAC?
The next committee, we haven't had one. Our first committee meeting is Monday, January 30th at 6:30 p.m.
All right, thank you. DLAC.
DLAC, the February 16th meeting of the District English Learner Advisory Council is going to be a multicultural potluck and student showcase. The business side of the meeting will be information about CASP assessments, parent resources, and any information that we have from the DAC regarding the LCAP at that point. We encourage parents of English learners to attend.
I'm excited about going to that one. That's
Yeah.
going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. We're very excited about DLAC this year.
I know. I asked Pomo not to take me off that committee this year.
I don't
Mr.
believe that.
Pombo?
Yes, ma'am.
over there?
over here.
It is the
We were
Wednesday.
waiting for someone else to be assigned for the facilities committee, and now that have someone, since we haven't had a meeting since November, I would like to hopefully schedule one next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So if we can look at your calendars and see if we can schedule something.
Okay.
Mike, my calendar is in my bag. Can you remind me after the meeting? Thanks.
I'm assuming since the only board member on the gate committee was trustee Nielsen, who's no longer on the board, there isn't a gate report, but as I said a moment ago, trustees Lampel and Goodrich will be on that committee, and I'm not sure if there's a,
You'll send us the dates? Thank you.
all right. Moving on, grant writing.
No, the grant writing committee had not met. We were trying to do things electronically, but I don't think any of the members were able to give Dr. Gill any assistance. So if there's anything to report on the committee, it would be the direct work of Dr. Gill. The committee that you did everything, yeah, okay.
Committee of one, an army of one. Thank you very much.
I can report on this now, since it's a combination of the gate and the grant writing committee and the wellness committee. We received through Dr. Gill's efforts a $1,000 grant from Albertson Companies. Is that through the Safeway? For health and wellness projects, I believe, right? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you,
For
Dr.
all your
Gill.
work.
Better than nothing.
Safety and crisis response, trustee Balzerini is not here. Is there anything that you'd like to add, Dr. Gill?
The only thing I would share is we actually held the meeting today. We were very happy to see the huge participation we received from the fire department. 5 people came to attend the meeting, and they had really good insight, and they're kind of revamping their own department, but they did promise, and I shouldn't say promise, they did share and told us that they are going to be providing CPR and first aid training to our staff members, and they're also going to train their staff members in CERT. So ultimately, that's going to take some time, but ultimately they will be able to do that training as well. And then second piece, Mr. Legrand had given an update on the school site projects, the mini maintenance projects that have been going on, and that had to do with traffic safety and so on. So.
Thank you. Wellness. I was unable to attend the last wellness meeting, but I understand among the things discussed were the Lammersville Unified School District Community Health Fair, which will take place on Saturday, February 25th, in conjunction with the Lammersville Unified School District Job Fair. Also discussed the ongoing conversations on the anti-bullying programs, the district wellness plan, and relay recess. Our next wellness meeting will be February 8th. And now to governing board reports. Samantha?
So the main thing I wanted to remind you all about is the academic/semester award night next Wednesday from 7 to 8, and it is going to be in the gym, as there is over 600 students getting awards. And then additionally, I would like to say that leadership right now is planning a kindness week for the school, and I'm very excited about that. And that's it.
What time did you say?
Yeah.
7.
7 to 8?
To 8 for 600 kids?
For 600 kids?
We're not, for the honor roll, most of the students getting awards are for honor roll, and we're not announcing every single student's name, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Ben would sound like an auctioneer.
Okay, and that's
On Wednesday the 25th.
Wednesday the 25th. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Trustee Goodrich?
So I was able to conduct 2 site visits. I was out at Lammersville Elementary School, and I visited Principal Buzatil and got to look at some of the maintenance and improvements she's been doing to the school, and also hear about some of the challenges she's had with certain issues on site, and tour some of the campus and see what the students are doing in the classroom, which was really great to see. And she's really doing an excellent job out there. She's sprucing it up, so it looks just like a wonderful place. Great atmosphere for kids. And then I also was out at Altamont to see Mr. Yeager's ever-expanding school. And took a look at the middle school model there to see how that worked. And the students were really engaged. I was excited to see the Chromebooks in action there and see how the students were using them in the classroom and how they were working really as tools. Some of them were working on the Chromebooks, some were working with their textbooks, and see how that was working nicely together. So that was a really good visit. So that's what I did.
Thank you. Trustee Clements?
As many of you know, I was gone most of the holidays. I did, after I got back, I was able to see our high school boys play basketball last Friday. The result was not what I would have liked, but they played really hard, and I was very proud of them. I didn't say anything after the moment of silence because I'd already planned on saying a few words about Tawny Zemlock during my board report. I wanted to extend my condolences to the family and friends of Tawny Zemlock. My son really struggled in school. He was academically challenged and struggled to fit in socially, and having epilepsy didn't help either. When you add all of that together and you mix it in with more than his fair share of his father's temper, my son was more than a handful for any teacher. To say that an elementary school teacher is an educator is such an understatement. In order to learn, children need many things. Children spend more time with their teachers than anyone else, except and sometimes including their parents. So teachers have to be a role model. Children must be attentive and engaged, so frequently teachers must be comedians. Children must feel well enough to learn, so frequently teachers are nurses. Children bring their family issues to school, so frequently teachers are psychologists. Children forget or refuse to eat or drink, and so frequently teachers are nutritionists. In the midst of being all of those things, teachers also have to be educators. I am not exaggerating when I say that Mrs. Zemlock's calm patience, persistence, and her skills as a role model, comedian, nurse, and psychologist that are intrinsic to a great elementary school teacher is a big part of why my son Chase is an A and B student. We have many great teachers in this district, and Chase has been privileged to have many of them. But it goes without saying that Tawny Zemlock was a big part of his education and development, and both of my sons and those teachers had a great influence on both of my sons, but Tawny Zemlock was certainly one of the best, and she will be sorely missed. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Lampel?
Okay. December was very busy. I attended Alice in Wonderland at Lammersville School on December 8th. This adaptation was designed perfectly for students. The narrator even did a bit of an English accent. The students were so well prepared and did an excellent job. Mr. De Hoya did a fabulous job preparing the students for this production, and it was quite enjoyable. The Altamont Winter Festival on December 9th was a fun evening. There were lots of games and activities for the students, and the silent auctions were quite competitive. The Nutcracker dancers that performed for us were wonderful, and kudos to those youngsters for getting up on stage in front of a crowded room and performing. On the same evening, which is why I lost all of the silent auctions except for popcorn, on the same evening I attended Mountain House High School's winter concert. If you closed your eyes, you wouldn't know that these were students performing. The band, choir, and orchestra were all outstanding. I'll stop there and let President Pombo say a few words about the show, since both of us went to several of the same events. The Mountain House High School dance production, Fire and Ice, on December 10th was truly amazing. There were 27 dances of varying numbers of participants and length that were choreographed and performed by our amazing students. Our own student board member, Samantha DiTaberis, was in about 14 of them, including a solo called Stand in the Light that she choreographed and performed. It was amazing.
Thank you.
There's a lot of talent in our student board member, as well as all of the other students who were performing at their winter concerts and recitals and dance performances. On December 14th, I attended the Citizens Oversight Committee's special initial organizational meeting. Dr. Nicholas started the meeting as the acting chair until the group organized into a formal structure. This committee is charged with monitoring the Measure L bond projects as they were listed in the ballot information. This includes tennis courts, library, aquatic center, theater, career technical education building, and Hanson Elementary. This committee decided to meet 4 times per year, and they are a public agency and will be agendizing their meetings in alignment with the Brown Act. And again, I'll let Mr. Pombo, President Pombo, add anything to that since we were both at that meeting. I would like to thank Principal Faubert for his outstanding presentation of our alternative education program plans that is back on the agenda for final approval tonight. I revisited this document after our meeting, and I'm convinced that what was proposed will meet the needs of our students that need assistance. I say most because no set of plans will ever meet the needs of every student. I have even shared ideas from Mr. Faubert's presentation with the district where I work as we embark on similar programs, and Mr. Faubert is the Delhi hero this week. So, and that's the end of my report. It was busy.
Thank you. I attended Lammersville Elementary's performance of Alice in Wonderland and thought that the staff and students did a wonderful job. The families, staff, and students all seemed to really enjoy the performance, as did myself and my family. I also attended the Altamont Winter Festival, and I got more than just popcorn, so.
It was rigged.
But I had a great time. I had to leave early because I also was in attendance at the Mountain House High School Winter Band Concert, and as always, they did a great job. I'm always amazed at the performances, the choir, the marching band, the orchestra, all of them just amazing. I attended the winter concert at Lammersville Elementary, and it was very enjoyable. It's really fun to see how much fun the kids have getting up there and singing or playing their instruments. A good time was had by all. As Trustee Lampel mentioned, I also attended the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, and as she stated, the officers were elected and the roles and responsibilities of the committee were discussed along with future meeting dates. I would like to thank Stephanie Olson, Committee Chair, Victoria Beckman, Scott Byers, Secretary, and committee members Angad Bular, Adam Henson, Samak Modi, and Sainta Vinoth. I'm sure I butchered her name, for volunteering their time on this committee. Superintendent Nicholas and I also attended the Mountain House Economic Development Stakeholders Meeting, where there were discussions about town center and when it may be a reality. Also discussions about infrastructure development in Mountain House and when and where things will be coming in the future. I hope they can get some of those things in the pipeline sooner rather than later. And at this time, I would take public comments, but I do not see any blue cards, so I'm guessing no one from the public is anxious to
Becky
speak.
wants to speak.
All staff.
Moving on to consent items for consideration. Approval of governing board minutes meeting December 7th. Approval of contracts under 25,000, approval of 2017 hires, acceptance of resignations, acceptance of retirement, and approval of updated fundraiser, and acceptance of donations. Pardon?
Budget revisions.
Budget revisions and warrants.
Did I skip one?
Yeah.
Also, budget revisions and warrants.
There's a one correction to the minutes, which will be updated on the website. The clarification of LCAP template was added.
Okay, I'll move for approval of consent items as presented.
A second.
And I don't necessarily want to pull anything out, but I do have some questions on the items. Or do I need to pull them out in order to ask questions on them?
If they're just basic questions, then you can ask them, and then we can clarify. And if it's something that you want to approve it and then pull it.
Yeah, I fully intend to, I mean, I just have questions. I know it's going to get, or I intend to approve it. I just have questions. That's it.
Go ahead.
On the budget revisions and warrants, I think this is I think it's number H, the very last budget increase. I think, and it's on ground costs for grounds maintenance and such. I believe that was in response to and as a result of board discussions.
Correct.
Okay, I thought so. I just want to make sure. And then on fundraisers, I see a number of organizations, or first of all, what is Pizza Club? Never mind.
I don't know, but it sounds fun.
I'm like, wow, there's a club for pizza. That's awesome.
Do you want clarification?
I was just curious if somebody.
Mr. Faubert has an answer for you.
It just
there you go.
it stuck out. It stuck out at me. Pizza Club. I want to join that one.
Missed that one.
It's what it is. It's kids who love pizza.
That's
Get
awesome.
together, and they purchase pizza once a month and have lunch together.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They wrote a constitution. They do a semester service project.
And
they
if
do,
pizza
they meet
is what
all of the requirements for a club.
If
So
pizza is what it takes to get them involved in
I
a
think it's a little tongue in cheek, but they did all the work. So.
Whatever. That's awesome. That's what I thought it was, tongue in cheek. But and then I do have a question though. I noticed that a number of organizations will be selling concessions at athletic events, specifically basketball, and I just want to make sure that the high schools considered how that's going to work with because the athletic boosters have all their inventory in there. If they're going to be using that room, then last year, the athletic boosters moved all of their stuff out and then all of it back in. And if they do that, if we're going to do that like 5 or 6 times over the course of the next couple of months, that's going to probably be somewhat problematic. But anyway, that's it.
First and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And at this time, I believe trustee Lampel would like to.
You remembered.
I did.
So I would like to welcome the following new hires to our Lammersville family. Jennifer Canadian, Campus Supervisor. Susan DeLeon, Noon Duty Supervisor. David Myers, Math Teacher. You found a math teacher mid-year. You're a miracle worker. And Jocelyn Stevers, Noon Duty Supervisor. So welcome to those new employees.
Welcome.
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 Moving on, item 9, district administrative reports. Dr. Nicholas, superintendent report.
So we have a young man who won an art contest, and part of it comes with a lovely calendar for the board, so I'm going to pass this down.
Thank you.
The young man's name is Damon Basu. He's a 6th grade student at Bethany. Being that catchers and pitchers report in 3 weeks to spring training, we're calling him Mr. October. Also, Noelle's going to put up on the screen, we had a teacher, Mr. Faubert, forwarded over, who was honored with a special recognition in the Society for Teaching of Psychology periodical. His name is Chuck Schallhorn. So congratulations to him for his own individual enthusiasm and the notoriety he's bringing himself in our district. I also want to thank Alvina and Team Business Services. We received our letter from County Superintendent of Schools, Jamie Moselemus, and our budget has been given a positive certification, which is the single most important thing that all school districts need to run their business. So nice job, Alvina and team.
Thank you, Alvina.
And then I thought I'd give a visual representation of the progress at our project over at Mountain House High School, sponsored by Measure L proceeds.
Look, there's a pool.
That's a pool of water. So whoever took the pictures, we want to thank them because there was a torrential storm today. But this is what will be the Performing Arts Center Theater. Again, a northeast version of that, of the theater again. Just another look. This is the Learning Commons, formerly known as the library, but those big old girders are going up, so that project is very exciting. This is the CTE building, looking as you're coming out of the classroom building. Another shot of that same angle, or a different angle of the similar spot. And another angle of a similar spot, but as you can see, there's a cinder block wall going up. That's the CTE building, and this, amongst the pools, is the Aquatic Center pool. And so these projects, and that's the pool house, if you notice the roof is going on. So in spite of 28 days of weather, they're moving along. So I can say, in terms of our timeline and our hopes, the tennis court is still on pace to be given to us and will take over in February. Just some small minor details that have to be taken care of. At present, it looks like the Aquatic Center will be turned over to us late May, early June to mid-June. So that is also another exciting announcement. The Learning Commons is on schedule, and so it's, we believe, somewhere in the early part of August. That'll be turned over to us. That's the one with the big girders. The CTE building has been affected a little bit more than others. There's some changes that we'll be talking about in coming board meetings, but that one we're looking at November of this year. And then the theater Performing Arts Center is still on pace for the December-January turnover. So with the exception of... what do they call it? The way they put together the steel erection, there we go. That's been causing some delays because of the busy construction that's going on throughout the country and the weather delays. They're doing as good a job as you can expect, and they're being creative about catching up on the schedule. So with that said, thank you to Turner Construction, NMR, West King, and everyone that's working on this project.
I noticed that in order to crash the critical path, they're pre-filling the pool.
Yes.
I wonder, because we're still in a bit of a drought.
There's a lot of science to this pool thing that I'm learning.
Enrollment report.
Okay, so there's an interesting number I'm here to announce today. We are at 4,613 students. So we are very much keeping on pace with 15 or so kids a month. Things are getting tight at the K-8 schools. We've talked with the principals. They're being great about it, but the whole community needs to understand that until Hanson School is completed and opened in August of 2018, it might be a little tight here and there. So, but that's a big number, lots of kids.
On that section, I really appreciated the high school exit numbers, entry and exit numbers.
Right.
But and I wanted to note that at the last CSBA conference in December, I attended a conference that was put on by Simi Valley School District, and let's see, they were started off as a small school district, very, not as small as Lammersville, but very small. They had explosive growth. Then they tapered off, and then they, one of their big industries left. I can't remember which one it was, but they mentioned that, and it kind of hit me between the eyes because I had been, as a board member, I'd been approving inter and intra-district transfers without really being mindful of why. Because if a parent really wants to come into the district or a parent really wants to leave, then, and they pointed out that, having a solid understanding of each and every reason why a student leaves helps the district understand and improve and all of those kinds of things. And I know that you have been doing this the whole time, but it was kind of an aha moment for me back in December, was that these, that's meaningful, and that, while that it could be a source of continuous improvement for us as a district and us as a board.
So just real quick, the net on that is, and this was just a high school glance, is they're up a net 6 with 50 kids entering and 44 exiting, and 27 of the 44 were moving away.
Which
so
they're going to leave the
nothing you can do
district,
about that.
That's right. No, the numbers are very positive. It was kind of an aha moment for me back in December.
So I had a concern. We had 12 mid-year transfers out that we already approved or will approve later on in the agenda, later on as action items A and B. All but one of those requests are 9th and 10th grade. Most of them state that, sorry, I'm losing my place. It's not big enough for the blind. Most of them state that the request is due to the parent working within the boundaries of the new district, but I'm having trouble with that, because that being an accurate reason. Parents write that because it's allowable by Ed Code, and we all know that. I'm concerned that these requests are coming mid-year. Chances are these parents worked in the other district when school started, and transfers out to be near the parent's employment are not as common in high school as elementary grades. So I still don't understand why our high school students are leaving. We have a phenomenal high school. What are we missing? And that's what I'm concerned, that we're missing something. I know how great the high school is, and I am an advocate for the high school. Ben knows. I send people to visit him all the time. But we're missing something. Besides the students who move or enroll in a charter school, our outgoing numbers of transfers are 68 elementary, 75 secondary. Secondary numbers are concerning. Our incoming numbers are 192 elementary and only 20 secondary. I'm hoping that the program, the Alta Ed program, is going to encourage more students to transfer in because we can meet needs that maybe other districts aren't meeting. Our district enrollment has grown by 92 students since the beginning of the year, yet high school, where they have enrolled 50 new students, has only grown by a total of 6 because of transfers out. I fully support what we're doing in our high school, but we're missing something. And I'd like to know, maybe not tonight, but what staff thinks, what are we missing? Is it, I don't think it's all the Alt Ed program, although I think that's going to help. But what are we missing? Why are we losing high school students? I don't get it. I don't get it. Our high school's phenomenal. So maybe for another night. I don't expect to.
We'll take a look into it and dig deeper.
Yeah.
All I can say right now is there is some agreement in an old Tracy mitigation agreement that for specialty programs at Tracy, kids can go. Other than that, we'll take a deep look into it and figure out when they say they're moving, what does that really mean?
Yeah, and I can see students transferring out for something like an international baccalaureate program because we don't have that, and that's okay. That's a phenomenal program for some students, but I don't think that's the reason. Is it marketing? What do we need to do? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Otherwise, I would tell you.
I don't have any crystal ball, but I think part of the problem is we have kids coming into high school who've never been in high school before, of course, because they're new to the high school. And high school is hard. High school is a hard transition from either junior high or K-8 to come in. And I think it's very easy for students and parents to say, well, it's the Chromebooks, it's the flipped learning, it's all these things that we're doing that maybe other schools aren't, and they don't know how they'll fit in where they're going, but they want to try something else because it's difficult for them. And I think many of them will probably have a rude awakening that it's difficult transitioning into high school wherever it is.
Do the Tracy and Livermore high schools not use Chromebooks? Do we know? I don't know. Dr. Gill? I'd be surprised, because in little teeny tiny, low socioeconomic Del High, we do.
I have a couple insights to a couple of your questions, but not 100% accurate answer. One of that is Chromebooks. I know that some of the schools in Tracy, they're not one-to-one like we are, even high schools. And then the second piece of information is we did lose students to West High School Space Engineering Academy this year, quite a few ninth graders. So in the numbers that we're looking at, the numbers of transfers, I want to say it's about 25 to 30 students. And because as part of our mitigation agreement that if there's a specialty program, the way space engineering is designed is very different from ours. So we couldn't really justify, we tried, but couldn't justify to stop
specific
them.
programs, yeah, but weren't those students already gone when school started?
Not
'Cause when I did
necessarily.
my research, I was looking at from the
Some.
first day of school until now.
Some. And then the second thing is, which is also true at the K-8 levels, but mainly at the high school level, we have noticed, some of the ones that we are saying the parents work in it, most of them are sometimes renewals. But there's a pattern out there that sometimes people don't submit a inter-district transfer form until we catch them somehow, some way. Or until, so that's why you're going to see that the mid-year forms are coming, because somehow, some way, either through the school or through a parent or through a sibling, information comes in.
The student could have been gone all year.
Correct.
And now you're just doing the paperwork.
I'll give you a perfect example. One of our school sites, a student moved out from our area to a different city. And got into a fight with another kid, and their kid said, I'm going to come to your house and beat you up. He said, you can't come because I live here. But I won't say any names. And then we contacted the parents. Sure enough, they had moved. And then we said, put an inter-district transfer. So sometimes you're going to see these kind of things. So I'm not saying for all kids, but some of it, that we have to catch kids where they have been going to other school districts for sometimes 1 or 2 years, and they don't tell us. We find out somehow, some way, either from neighbors or something, and then we have to follow up on them. So
Thank you.
just one little snippet, but
But that makes up for a piece of
some
it, yeah.
of it, yes.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely follow up to do a further study of this.
I want them to love our high school as much as I do.
Definitely. We have to ask Mr. Ferber to do a magic.
Okay.
So I think that, to echo what Trustee Lampel is saying, and to kind of continue on the Simi Valley example, I would be interested as a board member to know what our process is when there's an inter-district transfer and they want to leave. If we understand why, right, with their true rationale, then we know whether it's a performance improvement type issue or not. And I would just be interested to know what the district process is, to understand the district process, because we don't want, we don't want the low-hanging fruit are the students that are already here that maybe the parents don't understand, something. And that the district board member and the superintendent from Simi Valley, they were like, we were growing so fast, we didn't care. It was like, you want to go somewhere else, that's fine. And then once the growth stopped and then the industry moved out and the enrollment started declining, that was one of the things. It was kind of a culture shock for the board because, they'd never done that and never considered that. And some of it was low-hanging fruit. It was just a matter of communication and all this. And I'm not saying that we don't have a process or it isn't good. I'm just curious. I would like to know myself what that process is.
Love to hear a think tank of staff. What are we missing? Because we're missing something.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
We'll look into it and bring
Yeah.
something back.
If I could just add a little, first off, good evening, sorry for being late. I agree with what President Pombo was saying. In my travels through the state, I've been talking to other people about the same issues because I have concerns as well. And a lot of it, I believe, has to do with new curriculum. It's different. The students struggle, and when they go to their parents for help, they can't help them. And their frustration is also contributing to this. And we're teaching differently than even when we learned when we were students, and it's all different now, and it's very, very difficult. And not even at the high school. I mean, even at the K-8 level as well. But it's a new style of learning, and I think that they're trying to look elsewhere to find what they're looking for, and I don't know if they're finding
Could be.
it. So.
Could be. It could be, a conglomeration of many different reasons.
But it's not just us.
Yeah, I know.
And I would just like to point out that I have faith in what we're doing at Mountain House High School, and I firmly believe that 2 years from now, we'll be having a very different discussion about all the kids that are wanting to get into our high school that we don't have room to let in.
I will be so happy when that day comes.
As will I.
And it will. It will. I know it will.
Quarterly reports on the Williams uniform complaints.
There are no complaints.
Point of clarification. I noted that none of the boxes were checked on that form, and so maybe I'm misunderstanding how the form is supposed to be presented to the board. Is it supposed to be filled out?
I do zeros on mine.
We check them and have them sign it after the board meeting.
Okay, so, all right.
My job is to say that there are no reports.
And then it gets checked and signed. Because this is the second time I've asked the question in a board meeting, and I'm like, well, if the first time it could have been an accident, I think the second time is probably I'm misunderstanding what's supposed to happen. Okay.
Special education improvement plan update.
So about 3 years ago, we had Director Corona come up and start to kind of address some very real issues with the special education delivery in our district. And there were some bureaucratic issues, there were some funding issues, there were some instructional issues. So she put together an original improvement plan. The board approved it. She's been executing that. What I'm proud to say tonight is we're going to talk about student performance and actual instructional things as opposed to money or mandates or executing bureaucracy. So I'm going to turn this over to Director Corona.
Thank you, Dr. Nicholas. Good evening, Governing Board, Mr. President, Dr. Nicholas, student board member. Like Dr. Nicholas mentioned, I'm giving you an update today of special education improvement as well as student progress. So during the 2013-2014 school year special education, I conducted an analysis on the special education department. And there were 6 areas that were identified as areas of concern. So these are the areas that have been worked on and many more tasks, but these were the ones that we targeted as a special education department. We were looking at suspensions, RTI, lack of impactful interventions, over-identification, lack of pre-referral process, high number of one-on-one aid support, NPA contracts, and lack of collaboration between general education staff and special education staff. How are we going to address, and this is the areas of focus that we have been addressing as a special education department district-wide, is implementation of consistent procedures, pre-referral process district-wide, and providing professional development to all teachers, special education, as well as general education teachers on RTI. So the outcome of this was to decrease the student suspensions, also decrease one-on-one aid support, and behavior interventions to be implemented. This was hand in hand with the decrease of student suspensions. Also, the implementation of consistent pre-referral process and RTI, meeting students' needs within the general education setting, as well as reduction in non-public agency contracts. So one of the areas was lack of impactful interventions. And this year, between the coordinator of special education, myself, and Mr. Gonzalez, principal of Wickland, we've been training staff on response to intervention. We've been providing knowledge of difference between response to intervention, student study team, RTI process, how to use the embedded interventions from the new curriculum in the classroom, how to do the small group instruction. As a matter of fact, this morning, we had a training and we were analyzing data, how to group these students at risk. So this slide is a legend to the next slide, and these are 11 disabilities out of the 13 categories. These disabilities are disabilities that are being serviced within our district. So if you look here, we have the comparison between 3 school years. During the school year 14-15, we began with the highest number of specific learning disability, which is the 120 number. During the 15-16 year, our numbers grew as our district continues to grow. Our special education population continues to grow as well. However, last school year, speech and language, which is the 141, is the highest right now. And granted, some of these students are overlapping. They might have one disability as autism and the second disability as speech and language impairment. So that doesn't mean that we have 200, and for this current year, we have 239 students receiving speech and language. But some of the students do overlap because they have 2 disabilities. So another area of target or of concern that we've been working as a special education department is the reduction of the one-on-one aid, also exhausting all of our resources within the district before contracting with non-public agencies. Here we're comparing 2 years. Last year, within district, we had 12 one-on-one aids. The yellow bar from last school year, that's a student that came in with an IEP that required a one-on-one aid, so it was mandatory for us to provide that one-on-one aid. And the green bar is indicating the 2 contracts that we have with non-public agencies. So from last year to this year, we continued with the two students contracting with outside agencies because our resources we were not able to meet those student needs, so we contract with outside agencies. We received 1 student just 2 weeks ago that required a one-on-one aid. So one of our existing special education instructional assistants is now, instead of being a resource support aide, she is now a one-on-one aide. And we currently have 8 students that are receiving one-on-one support. So our non-public agency contracts, we have, what I did here, I just did a comparison from the past 3 years. The contracts have been reducing. There are some times that county splits the cost with the district. And in the year 2015-2016, that's why we have a 7.5, because that's not half a student, but that year the cost was being split between county and district. Unfortunately, during this year, we have the 2 students that continue to be requiring that outside help or that outside support, and then the 1 student that we inherited that requires that non-public agency support. The non-public schools. This is throughout 3 years. And we did start, when I started back in 2013, we had 1 student, and then it went to 2 students. That same year, in 2014-15, we inherited a new student that required non-public school. Then we continued to last school year. It was 4 students, and then we received a new student that came into our district, and that student required a non-public school as well, placement. For this school year, we have a total of 7. We have 5 that have been that have continued with us, and we have 2 new students that we inherited this school year. So we have a total of 7 students that are being serviced at a non-public school. So this slide, compared to, we continue to see our district grow and students are coming in. So this chart shows how many new students we have received that have an IEP since last year to this year. It's a total of 54. Like Dr. Gill said, in comparison, our district has grown approximately 500 students from last school year to this school year. That is 10.8% of the students have an IEP. And I broke it down to the type of services that each student receives. The yellow, the RSP, the SDC, the blue, and the orange type, those are services that are being provided by our staff, by our special education department, including the home instruction, which is the red piece right there. A teacher is providing home instruction. The greenish color is county. 13 of those out of the 54 students have been referred to county because our resources, we do not have a moderate to severe program. So that's how our students, 54 out of the approximately 500 students that have come to our district have been placed. And the next few slides is showing you just progress on individual students using corrective reading and reading mastery, which is the reading fluency intervention program. So at the beginning of the year, and this is only one student, the purple bar, this student was at a second grade level, so 47 words per minute. He was reading 47 words, and this was starting in September. That's when they were tested and placed accordingly. In December, the student was tested, and he was already reading 74 words per minute. So Altamont, this is the third grade level, reading level. This doesn't necessarily mean that these are third grade students, but they are reading at the third grade level. And if you can see each bar, some of them have made very minimal progress, but then we do have many that have made a significant progress on reading fluency. For Bethany, same thing. They have demonstrated progress. The second grade, this is corrective reading. Beginning of September, they were reading at 106, and at the end of, before going to winter break, they were reading 121 words per minute. We have a few more students, 5 more students from Bethany. Same thing, some of them are making progress, but it's slowly but surely. Consistent training on data collection has been ongoing. Our coordinator of special education, Shelley Ryer, meets with our teachers periodically and trains in data collection. Last year we discussed having, right now we have 19 teachers, and they have between 1 and 3 years of teaching experience, so it's a lot of training. Cuesta, we have some students that, like the first student here, Cuesta, he started at 96, he did go down to 91, but we have, for the most part, students have been making significant progress. This is level second grade and third grade, same thing. It's making the corrective reading and the growth. It's the grade level growth that they've made. So what we're seeing here in the red bar, those numbers indicates the grade level and not words per minute. So this student at Cuesta number 6 started 4th grade level and now is at a 5th grade level. So they did bump up a grade level. And then Wickland, we have 2 different students showing the growth. And all of this is beginning of September and data collected before going to winter break. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, real quick, looking at those bars, I can see that there's growth, but I don't know what a year's growth would look like in that. So while there's growth, I really can't tell how much growth it is.
Excellent question. You're right. And what happens is that what we do, they have 65 lessons in the program. And they work every day on a different lesson. And the thing is that when they exit one program, they go to another program. But I can come back. Am I being loud? I was told I was.
Hello.
I can be a bit loud.
I was trying to get the picture to come.
Playing games with
Yeah.
you.
Are you trying to tell me?
I was
Combo
trying to
kicked in the
finish up
reverb.
on the screen, and it started an echo chamber. I apologize.
So let me see, can I go back or no? No, I can't go back. So the last graph that was on there that showed just smaller numbers like 4 to 5, that particular student grew 1 grade level.
Right,
So
but in
he
the
was
other
reading.
ones, yeah, I got
So,
it on
and,
that
and
one.
I don't have, I can bring you
Yeah.
next time. You're gonna make me come back, and I can bring you more information and give you more, individual student growth as far as grade level instead of words per minute.
Yeah, no, words per minute is fine, but what I'm curious, okay, so I'm looking at Cuesta student number 7. So they started at 97 words per minute. They ended at 104 words per minute. How much growth is that?
Right.
I mean, I can do the math, but these numbers
No,
don't
no,
mean anything.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And I can come back and give you charts and just a comparison, either I can email you that or I can come back and next time, however, yeah, to show you
Email it to me.
that growth.
We need another whole
Absolutely.
presentation on it. I'm just,
Thank
having
you.
been a classroom teacher, I'm just curious.
Okay,
Because I look at this
sure.
stuff.
So B1 out of corrective reading is a scripted program.
Right.
And it builds speed and accuracy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole idea, is get them speed and accuracy. So I couldn't give you the real answer on that either. But if you're, it really has like the entire B1 session feeds well into B2, and it kind of just keeps working up till full literacy.
And we're using corrective reading also in my district.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And it does embed the decoding and the comprehension piece as the lessons get harder.
Okay, thank you.
I have a general question, and you may not know the answer. It's just for my own personal or own board member understanding. I learned in the CSBA training that over the summer, some students that, participate in activities like reading and playing educational games with their family, et cetera, their educational level actually increases over the summer, whereas other students that don't, more sedentary, watch TV, et cetera, they actually detract. And it could be, so 2 students that were exactly the same at the end of one school year could be, one went up by 20%, the other one went down, so they're different by 30% just at the beginning. Would that kind of thing be more pronounced in special education, less pronounced, or about the same, as a guess?
So an exact answer to that, I don't have an exact answer.
I'm not expecting
However, how you would be able to determine is, as a special education teacher, you collect data. You collect data at the beginning because you do those pre-assessments to see where they're at on their goals and reading levels. And you can determine, usually resource teachers, special day class teachers, they have the same students, so they are able to know where they left off and where they're starting at the beginning of the school year, so they know how much growth or if they lost anything during the summer. So it does make a difference, and they're able to tell with that pre-assessment at the beginning and the post before the end of the school year. And I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It gave me what I needed, thank you.
So one of the things that I've seen tried in other districts, and they have had good results, is moving summer school. To not have summer school the day after school is out. Last year in the district where I work, we had it right up to school starting, and I almost killed cabinet because I needed the week before school. So we're doing it right in the middle this year. Last year, having it so close to school starting, those kids who needed summer school and extended day was the same dates. They were ready because they just rolled right into school 2 days later. And they were ready. That loss did not happen. But you can't offer summer school for every child.
Right.
This year, we're doing it, I think, mid-June or late June to mid-July. And we'll see if, I know we'll have a loss, but not as much as when summer school starts in June. It's just an interesting concept.
That has been brought up as my 8 years or so as the director of special education. I've been approached with that suggestion from parents, that they would rather see it, before school starts, versus at the end of the school year.
Yeah,
That's
my
something
advice,
that we
just
can
don't
look
do it
into.
up to the day school starts, because Ted will have a hard time.
So I can also say that last year we offered a summer school program at Lammersville with a kind of a big idea. We are currently analyzing how that went, budgeting for a planned program. I want to thank Trustee Goodrich for asking a question, because it started a conversation that was perfectly timed. So, but we are looking at if we're going to use, it was a Title I funded program, but the idea was what we did it work? And so it's probably the right time to have good ideas thrown out there.
So I had a quick question on your presentation, because I noticed you showed decoding B1 and from some schools and decoding B2 from other schools. So at different schools, are they teaching both book B1 and B2? And why did you choose data from different books for different schools?
So I didn't choose every single child from every program, because both our RSP and our SDC programs use the corrective reading and the reading mastery. The decoding B1, it maybe some of the students out of the class that I chose the teacher from, maybe only one student, placed at that level. That's why I only had, and I think it was the Altamont student, I only had one student that placed at the B1, which is the second grade level. And then the other was the third grade level, which is the B2, and I had more students. So in that particular class, I chose that teacher. That teacher had more students on the B2 level versus the B1.
Okay, gotcha. My other quick question is, I noticed there's a real growth in the ED population this year, but you've really cut back on the non-public school contracts. So have you hired additional staff, or what kind of training are you doing for the staff to address the needs of those ED students?
Great question. One of the areas that was identified as an area of concern was the suspensions and also behavior interventions. We do have a behavior specialist on staff, and she provides intensive training to special education staff, general education staff. Our school psychologists meet regularly with general ed staff to provide support as far as the behavior intervention piece goes. The way that our ED population works is before, as you know, we are trying to keep them in the least restrictive environment. When that is not possible, we are fortunate that we have ED programs at the county level. We have several ED programs, so we make those referrals to the county. If at that point, after being in that program and receiving those support, that level of support, it's not enough, then the referral becomes, the team gets back to the table, meets, and discusses a more restrictive. But that is why, our ED population has grown, and so have our referrals to county for ED programs.
Okay, Thank you.
Sure.
I had a couple of quick questions. Early in the presentation, you showed the comparing years 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, and it appeared to me, and maybe I read the graph wrong, that the speech therapy went way up.
Mm-hmm. It did.
Is there a reason?
There it is. So, yes, there is yes and no. What happens is that some of these students have a double disability. They might have autism as a primary and then speech and language as a secondary. So that increases our numbers. The 239, we also have preschoolers that receive speech only, and usually between age 3, between 3 and 5, before they go into kindergarten, the expectation and the way that they are assessed and meeting criteria, usually that is the need in speech and language impairment. So that is why our speech and language has increased.
It just seems like a huge jump.
It is.
It's give or take 40% from year to year, which seems like a lot.
So that disability usually goes hand in hand with autism. It can go hand in hand with specific learning disability. So they not only would have that specific learning disability, then they have the speech and language impairment.
So my question is then, if the number of students on speech and language are increasing that dramatically, the caseloads for those speech language pathologists must be increasing. Are you anticipating needing to hire more speech language pathologists?
Great. So currently we have 5. The average as per Ed Code is 54. We are at 59 district-wide average. So that is a little bit over, and that is something that we're currently analyzing to look at how, possibly getting additional support.
I have to talk to Mr. Magic over there.
I know.
My other question is, one of the goals was to reduce over-identification, but it seems like the OHI population seems to be growing. So do you feel like there's possibly a trend towards over-identifying the OHI population, or is there some other reason why the OHI population seems to be growing?
So the other health impairment population, it encompasses a lot of different areas. One could be the attention deficit, ADHD, any medical conditions, and that is something when a 504 is not enough, then we look at that criteria, and that's why our other health impairment eligibility has grown, has increased, because it encompasses, it's not necessarily the academic piece, but more of a medical piece that they require some accommodations and they're eligible for an IEP.
You mentioned that 10% of our incoming students last year were special education in one form or another. What is the percentage of existing students? So
this year, we received 10.8% of the new students have IEPs. So overall, we are at 358, so we're slightly under the 10%. We still have 54 student pending, which that means that we're currently in the process of testing and determining if they are going to be eligible for special education.
All right, thank you.
So your number does not include those 54 that are pending?
My 10.8% is our new students.
The existing is slightly under that.
No, we have different categories. The already receiving special education services, and then those waiting to qualify and determine whether they're going to go that route. Sometimes parents choose not to continue, go that route, and they opt out of special education. Not opt out; it's revoke consent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
District Maintenance and Operations Report.
The tie is back.
Good evening. You probably already know, but just want to let you know, we had a decent-sized water leak in the Mountain House High School in the girls' locker room. Unit malfunction, HVAC unit malfunction, water overflowed. The float got stuck in open position. So we had to take the sheetrock down and so on and so forth, dry the place out. We're proceeding as a warranty item at this point because the unit malfunction, right?
That's right.
That's our stance.
So that was potable water, not rainwater?
Yes. So anyways, that's where we're at. The locker room is still usable. They used it for the basketball games last night, but we do have some water damage to repair out there. So I attended the construction meeting this morning. You saw from the pictures, everything's going very nicely. So happy about that. Attended the district safety committee this afternoon. Some things on my to-do list are the site safety updates that Chris talked about, security cameras for the district, and the emergency radio system, expanding that. We're conducting custodial interviews on Friday. We have 2 openings. We have one at Cuesta, one at Altamont, so looking to bring some new people on quickly, fill those positions. And that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Have we had any flooding anywhere?
What's that?
Have we had any flooding anywhere?
No.
Excellent.
No.
How are the roofs holding up in all this rain?
Really good. I'm really, really happy. 2 districts ago, when I took over as director, we had 145 roof leaks, ballpark, and we've had, I could count on one hand. So doing really, really well. Really, really makes me very happy.
Good.
So.
And the floor at Altamont in those classrooms, no change?
No. There's no moisture coming up in the floor in the science room and the special ed room behind it. So that's a good thing.
And my thanks for coordinating that meeting that we had with the radio vendor.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items. Consider approval of the 2016-2017 intra-district transfers requests. Staff report?
None.
Move to approve 2016-2017 intra-district transfer requests.
Okay, I'll reluctantly second.
We're going to get
I know, we're going to get them back.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of 2017-2018 outgoing inter-district transfer requests. Staff report?
I think the earlier discussion, along with Dr. Gill's input, covers what the purpose of this one is.
All right.
I have a couple of things before we move on for approval. So this looks like great training to get teachers and administrators on the same page, making something useful of the statutorily required evaluations that everybody just usually doesn't care about. We're on B. I'm reading my wrong comments. Thank you.
Move to approve 2017-2018 outgoing inter-district transfer requests.
I'll second.
A first and a second. Is there any comments? Ann? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, approval of West Ed proposal for professional learning design. Phase 1, $39,900. Phase 2, $43,500. Not to exceed a total of $83,400.
Is there a staff presentation?
Staff report?
There is a short staff presentation, but as we introduce Mr. Miller, I want to thank Becky Mabus back there. In the end, this would not be moving forward without the leadership that she's provided in partnership to try to improve some practices here in the district. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Becky. I was wondering why there was no staff presentation. So.
Exactly, right? President Pombo, trustees, Superintendent Nicholas, good evening, everyone. I have a very brief presentation, only about 45 minutes on this, so it should go very quickly.
Perfect. I didn't touch it.
His screen is blank. I will attest to that.
Okay. It might be about 45 minutes. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thank you so much, Noah. Okay. So this is just a really brief update on where we're at with the Professional Growth Committee as it relates to the West Ed proposal. Oops, pardon. And as I always like to do when I come up, I like to try to tie this into the strategic plan, and I think it fits quite nicely when it comes to the collaboration, the communication, the student achievement piece, and district culture and leadership. So as you're aware, back in May of 2015, the Lammersville Unified School District put out a professional growth survey. And within that survey, it talked about the effectiveness of our evaluation system, the current system that's in place, the quality of the system that we currently use, and then the features of the evaluation system that are liked. Now, while the numbers of individuals who participated in the survey were small, we had about 69 participants in that survey. Of those 69 participants, just over 75% of those stated that we could improve upon our practice. So while the numbers were relatively small as compared to the number of employees we have in the districts, in the district, the numbers spoke greatly to the idea that we needed to do something about improving our evaluation system. So in conjunction, as Dr. Nicholas pointed out, to begin with LTA and Rebecca's help, the Professional Growth Committee was formed. There was discussion prior to the formation of the committee, but towards the end of the 2015-2016 school year, this was formed. As you're aware, the goal of improving was the improvement upon the evaluation system, and really specifically to the collaboration piece and the communication piece between stakeholders of the current system being used. Through the Professional Growth Committee, the board approved and brought in Dr. Ken Futernick, along with West Ed, to begin the facilitation of conversations with our stakeholders. And again, as you see up here, Dr. Futernick, it comes with a vast plethora of knowledge, understanding labor management partnerships and educational programs. And we began the conversations, again, with LTA involved to look at what we could do to improve what it is we're doing. And so that brings us up to kind of our current mode. And I know I'm kind of skipping and going quickly, and I'm more than happy to come back to give a deeper dive on a presentation, but I just wanted to get to the point of what we're proposing tonight. So it's a two-phase project. The first phase is the pilot project, which would consist of approximately 40 participants. That breaks down roughly to about 22 teachers, and the rest district and site administration and other staff members, including Dr. Futernick and his team, who would come in on 4 one-day workshops to talk about how we can improve upon our evaluation system, specifically to the communication and the collaboration piece. We want to get from a talking to model to a talking with model. We want to collaborate. We want it to be teacher-led. We want it to be something where we're working together to improve upon our practices, which ultimately improve upon what our students are getting. Once we go through that process, we're proposing, as I said, the 4 days. The first 2 days are going to be in February. It's February 6th and 7th. And then the next 2 days after that are March 8th and 9th. They're full-day workshops for all of the participants. Once we go through that, we'll then meet again. All stakeholders will meet again. We will debrief, review whether or not the first phase of the pilot was successful. And if it was successful, then we would propose that we go to phase 2, which is a district-wide support, specifically diving deep into the evaluation process itself. We would increase the participation, moving it up to 75 participants. Again, the majority of those participants are going to be classroom teachers, LTA members that would participate in these sessions. And again, this is looking specifically or a little deeper into the evaluation process itself. And then, with that, really, as I said, this is fairly quick. We'd just like to thank the support, obviously, of the board for their encouragement to continue working towards this. We know how important this is to have these collaborative efforts. And as I mentioned, we couldn't do this without Lammersville Teachers Association, specifically with Rebecca and Mike's help. They really have been at the forefront, working with us, helping, working together to get the participants, engaged in the conversations, making this happen. It's really their support that's driving this right now. And then obviously Dr. Nicholas for his guidance and his leadership for this as well. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions regarding that.
Is that my cue? So kudos for working with LTA, and kudos to LTA to make the evaluation system something worthwhile. You know, I was a classroom teacher for a long time, and I think it was worthwhile once. So that's fabulous. You answered one of my questions, which was going to be, how does this align with the work of Dr. Frudernick with the district, which I didn't see in the board packet, but you addressed that. I didn't realize that his work is with Wested, and this is an outgrowth of that. Great training. I'd love to participate in it myself. I have one concern. You have a lot of teachers out of the classroom, a lot of days. And number one, how do you assure that you have enough substitutes? 75 people is a lot of people to be out for 4 days. And how do we assure that the education of the student for 4 days in a short period of time is not negatively impacted?
Yeah, that's a great point. So the first phase with the 40, again, those are 22 teachers, still a lot of teachers out of the classroom. So we're really trying to be strategic as far as making sure, front-loading our substitutes. The HR department is taking care of all that to assure that we have enough people in place so we can pull those teachers out of the classroom. When we get to the 75 participants, we would anticipate that we would have to spread that out, probably tier that out a little bit more. Currently, right now, we're proposing the 2 1-day, 4 days in the phase 2. Now, if we do get a full 75 participants, we may have to adjust what that looks like. But I would agree with you. The first priority is making sure that we're taking care of our students on those days that we are out. So we want to ensure there's some long-term success with this evaluation process, but we also need to make sure that we're taking care of our students. So we'll make sure that we have that in mind when we do it.
And we'll be assured that the kids are not going to be given useless packets for the entire day for 4 days.
That's correct.
Because that's a lot of days of instruction.
Absolutely, yes.
That's my only concern. I think it's great work. Like I said, I would love to bring it to my district, but I'm concerned about what's going on in the classroom while the teachers are receiving this fabulous training.
One of the things we learned this summer, and it was with the curriculum department, is they ran a number of comprehensive trainings during the summer as well. So it could be a possibility, some of that time could be taken up in the summer. Our teachers have shown a real dedication and be willing to give up some days in the summer. So that would be another consideration as well.
Okay. Good luck with this. I'm very excited to hear the follow-up.
Keep you posted, absolutely.
I have a question for you. That first phase, the pilot, how were those 40 staff members selected?
It was volunteer. So we had the initial professional growth committee members were on there, and then we opened it up, again, with the help of LTA, going back and asking for volunteers. We tried to get a nice round, or maybe not round, but an even participants at grade levels and schools. So we had a nice broad cross-section of who we were getting and making sure that everybody was represented. And we continue to look at that, and we encourage everybody who wants to participate to be part of it, but we want to make sure that we have a nice cross-section so everybody is being represented.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So is there an idea that if the district and LTA do determine that this is successful, that it will expand to the entire district?
I would anticipate that's the goal. Obviously, we want to make sure that this is a cultural phenomenon, if you will, when we get this up and rolling, and that even with our new teachers that we hire in the years to come, that this is part of the onboarding of our new teachers so they understand what the expectations are and how we do our business here. And it truly is about collaboration and communication to make sure that we are working together for the success of our students.
Great.
I wanted to say thank you to the teachers union and specifically you and Mike and the district staff. When I was, as I was speaking to parents and even teachers, the concept of, the tension between ensuring that we have oversight and continuous improvement and the right things are being taught in the right way. That's an absolute vital function of the district. We wouldn't be doing our job if it didn't happen, but also being sensitive to, the teachers that are there pouring their, blood, sweat, and tears into educating our children and wanting to do it right, and being respectful of that. That is a very small needle to thread. And the only way this was going to happen was with the cooperation of both sides. And, as a board member, I got to say thank you so much for starting this process, cooperatively. And I'm excited. I really hope it works. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a concept outside of education to make the evaluation system effective in two ways.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve the West Ed proposal for professional learning design, Phase 1, $39,900, and Phase 2, $43,500, not to exceed a total of $83,400.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of overnight school-sponsored trip for Bethany ASB students to the Castle Conference. Staff report?
This is the very successful Castle program that they've been going to for years, and this is just be formal approval for that.
Move to approve overnight school-sponsored trip for Bethany ASB students to the Castle Conference.
Second.
Board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of alternative education program plan. Staff report?
So this is a number of different opportunities we're bringing forward as a plan for alternative or other opportunities for kids to learn who don't always learn in the normal mainstream way.
Okay, so I had some comments, and I emailed my comments in advance to Mr. Faubert so he could address them. So the first thing to be addressed is the teaching and support staff section on page 79 mentions the coordinator of alternative education working with students in a lab setting. So can you please explain what this looks like if someone were to
Walk into
an
the classroom,
observation
yeah.
for their evaluation?
So what that looks like is the coordinator or the alternative ed teacher works with students during the day in a face-to-face setting while students are working on both online content and face-to-face content. It's credit recovery. Physical attendance is required. It's a shortened day, so they come at 9 and leave at 1:30. There's a morning huddle to identify goals with students and get them motivated for the day. There's also a daily elective instruction that includes lessons about financial literacy, job skills, community service, communication skills, relationship building, and it's taught by a conglomeration of the coordinator, administrators, the school resource officer teaches, the counselor teaches, and some resource teachers also get involved in teaching as well. And so it basically is an environment that, while they're receiving the majority of their credit recovery in an online fashion, it provides an opportunity for them to touch base with a real person every day, because these are the kind of students who wouldn't be motivated on their own to complete those online courses. And it provides that opportunity during the day for the teacher to check in multiple times. What have you done in the last hour? Gives them breaks during the day, structured breaks, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what the lab setting looks like for our credit recovery alternative ed students.
Yeah, I just didn't understand the use of the word lab.
Yeah.
It's my very old brain thinking back to high school, what a science lab was.
Yeah,
like.
no, it's more like an online learning lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Mustang Pathway description on page 82, it talks about students who live within Lammersville boundaries having access to the same resources as the traditional programs, such as social and athletic events and participation. So my question to Mr. Faubert was, do students who enroll in our program and live outside of LUSD, because remember, we're going to be getting all these kids transferring in now, because this program is individualized, do they have access to the same social and athletic events and participation if they so desired? Curricular and extracurricular programs are mentioned, but not participation in athletics. So I was curious as to what CIF rules apply to this type of program. So do you want me to read your answer? Do you want just want me to
I can do
address
it. I'll just address it
Okay.
as we go through. So really, any student who is accepted on an interdistrict transfer to us becomes our student. So it should read, Mustang online pathway students enjoy access to the same resources, as opposed to who reside in. It should just say Mustang online pathway students enjoy access to the same resources, et cetera, as it goes on in there. And extracurricular activities also indicate athletic, not just, the academic extracurricular activities that we have, or band or VAPA things. And CIF rules do apply for any student who transfers into our school district, which means they could face a sitting out period at the beginning after they've transferred in for a certain amount of time, depending on their eligibility. They can appeal that to the CIF, but typically when you transfer, you do have some sit-out period. It also means that we need to be very careful when we are talking about having students come in from outside the district, that we are not recruiting students for athletic purposes, because you can get in big trouble for that. We're not looking to recruit students for athletic purposes. This is an academic program of choice.
Unless they're a lineman.
So, yeah, I mean, absolutely all CIF rules will apply, and the person who's responsible for keeping track of what those are, and they change every now and then, is Lavinia, and she's on top of it. She's got the paperwork, and she knows exactly what needs to happen. And if the student does happen to enroll for an academic purpose, to be in the online pathway or the credit recovery pathway or whatever it is, and then they indicate an interest in those extracurricular activities that are governed by CIF, we would refer them to Lavinia, who would then take care of the process from there.
Okay. So the students who are on a reduced day, if they earn the privilege of participating in athletics, does CIF allow that? Students who are on a reduced day to participate?
Yes,
in
as
team
long as they're
athletics?
taking the requisite amount of credits for the semester.
Okay.
Right. And so students will have to make sure, because in the alternative ed pathway, in a semester you can earn way more, or if you're not motivated, way less.
Yeah.
And so there are points in the semester that the teacher's checking in with them, and it's part of their academic progress. And when we do grade checks, they have to have a certain amount of credits by a certain time in order to remain eligible. Otherwise, they fall underneath that amount of credits, and they're no longer academically eligible.
Okay. So the next one that staff and the public probably need to hear about is on page 86 in the section of questions to consider. There was just a wording change.
Yeah.
It said something about dedicating 4 to 5 hours per week to your course. Should probably say each course. So
yeah,
Ben
and
agreed
that's-
that, yeah. It was rainy and I had plenty of time to read this stuff. The application and acceptance section for the online pathway ends with a 5 or something. It was a typo, so
redundant
Ben's just
typo,
taking
yes.
that out. On page 95, there's a summary. There was a sentence missing a 2, so he's increasing that. Sorry, 6th grade teacher.
Okay.
And
I think you skipped the one that said page 83 refers to online academy as opposed to pathway.
Yeah.
And that whole paragraph, in fact, says it says academy, and I neglected to change all of those references to academy should be changed to pathway
program.
to be consistent.
So again,
Yeah.
phenomenal document. Thank you so much. And I really think we're offering a breadth of services to our students that maybe they won't transfer out. And they'll want to stay here because we can meet individualized needs the way this is
Well,
written.
and we presented this today in our school site council meeting, and the parents who were there were excited about the opportunities that it offers, not just for kids who may need credit recovery or who don't want to come full-time to school, but the opportunities it can provide for students who may in their senior year want to work in the afternoons, who want to participate in internships, who want to take a Delta College class in the middle of the
That I
day.
loved when I read
Yeah, to
that.
be able to just say, I need a hole in my schedule right here.
Yeah,
I'll just take an online course instead.
yeah. And again, another reason why our high school is fabulous and we just have to get that word out. Thank you for all you obviously put a lot of work into this, so thank you. I'm done.
To piggyback on a question by Trustee Lampel, will these students be getting grades just like the other students?
Yes, so the difference will be, I'll give you an example. One of our students came in and they had 90 units to cover in a course of one school year. Typically, you get 60, at the most 70 in a school year for the entire year. Well, the student was motivated enough and had seen the light that he received 90 units in one semester. He completed the units by December. And so he did more than a year's worth of work in one semester. So the difference is going to be some of those kids will have a transcript that looks like, man, they did a whole lot of work that semester, because they did. Whereas other students will usually only have 6 or 7 classes listed on their transcript.
And so since they will be receiving grades, they will be held to the same academic standards as far as sports eligibility?
Absolutely.
And those?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So who's going to be grading them? Will they be graded by the online instructors that are employed by people outside of our campus, outside of our school district, or are they going to be graded by people here?
Good question. So the courseware that we own right now actually has coursework that's A to G approved, and the majority of it is graded by the system. If it's like multiple choice or short answer, fill in the blank kind of things. Those things, for example, in an English class that would require free response would be graded by teachers, as it states in the alternative education document, both in the ALT-ED credit recovery program and the ALT-ED online and hybrid programs. We have teachers who are paid hourly on a regular basis to grade things like that and to provide any intervention or instruction, additional instruction that students need if they get stuck. So I believe we wrote in that there one teacher per subject area, up to 4 hours per week of work, paid on an hourly basis.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're doing that now actually with a credit recovery.
Mm-hmm. I apologize. I realized as I was walking in, almost late, but not quite, that I did not hit send this morning on my cell phone on my questions. So I'm catching you flat-footed on this, but I still have to ask the question. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the financial implication. Normally numbers are my thing, but I don't understand the financial implication of what I'm being asked to vote on. On page 72, it indicates, of the PDF, so it's 72 out of 323, it indicates that the financial impact is $102,350. On page 81, it indicates the financial impact is $228,700, and on page 96 of 323, it indicates a financial impact of $354,691. And normally the first number is the net, is the real number, and then it's going to cost this, but we're pulling it in from, and I'm just, what is the cost of this the anticipated cost of this program?
So there's 3 programs, 3 pathways within the alternative education program, and each one.
So it's essentially I'm voting on the sum of 102, 228, and 355.
I have to look at I don't have the document in front of me, so.
Well, the 3 numbers in
Trish
there
and I have been working on this, so.
Is what we're voting on.
I'm actually always the numbers person, even though Levina is much smarter than me. So, so I can definitely answer that question. So the number on page 94, which is $39,000, that is just for the summer school program. And I'm looking for the other number that you mentioned, Mr. Clement, which was on page.
96, isn't it?
96. You don't have the numbers again.
Page 89, that's the $86,000. That is for the hybrid and online program. And then finally, the final number, which is on page 96, 354, that is combination of the current alternative ed program, hybrid and online program, and summer school program. The reason that this number on page 72 looks so small because that is going to be the new piece of the pie.
That's the incremental increase.
Correct.
That's what I was asking was, okay, so, and normally I see a number, and the very first number I see when it's there, that's the incremental increase, and then I see these others. I just wanted to make sure, because there were a bunch of different numbers, and I couldn't figure
Correct.
out exactly what I'm voting.
So the real increase is going to be if, depending on ADA, if we really, only if we receive students. If we don't receive students, then that cost will not happen. It's mainly the cost of hiring one teacher plus the teachers that Ben was talking about that we're paying hourly basis.
Thank you. That's what I thought. I just wanted to confirm.
Well,
Thank you.
And the hope is that, every 40 students is a new teacher, right? And so the hope is the program grows and we get enough ADA to hire additional teachers for the online program. So it just depends on how big the program gets, on how many teachers. So per teacher cost, each teacher you hire is going to be another teacher.
But you had the ADA to support it.
Yes.
So it's not an incremental hit to the budget.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure, Ben.
Forgive me if I missed it. When does this go into effect?
Next school year.
Next school year, okay.
Yeah. So we would recruit kids to the online and hybrid program now because they will be making course selections at the end of this month and beginning of next month.
And for the president, there was a lot of, it sounds like there's a lot of changes to this document that need to occur. Is this going to come back? Or are we going to try and make amendments now?
Changes that were in mine were, in my conversation with Ben, most of it was just grammatical, adding a to. So I don't think it's anything that, I
So it
think
would
we
be a
could approve
motion
it
as
with.
amended?
As amended, yeah.
That should work.
Move to approve alternative education program plan as amended.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I have to find my place.
Subpoint F.
Item F.
Don't ask me.
Consider approval of revised board policy 6142.2 and the new administrative regulation 61422 for private world foreign language instruction high school credit.
I think the
Staff
AR
report?
is just missing a period in there. It's supposed to have the same number, 6142.2.
So this is also was presented at the last board meeting. This is the formal approval process.
I'll move for approval of the revised board policy 6142.2 and new administrative regulation 6142.2 for private world foreign language instruction for high school credit.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of our alternative education program plan.
We're on subpoint G, Mr. President.
Oh. I thought that sounded familiar.
It was so good, we want to approve it again.
Consider approval of the new classified unrepresented job description IT program manager. Staff report?
So we posted up here one of the slides from a presentation given in November. We had the San Joaquin County Office of Ed come through and review our progression into the technology era, 21st century education. They made some recommendations. Dr. Gill and Alvina Kaiser presented the information. This and the next job description are kind of the results of their recommendation. This is a new this would be a new position.
So I have a question, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
How is this different than the job description of the IT director that we laid off? What duties did that position have that this one doesn't to make it different?
I'll have Mr. Miller come up and explain that.
Thank you, because I was confused. Good question there. That was my question.
So the easy answer to that would be that the previous position that we had, the director position, was someone who evaluated and supervised staff. Our new program manager is more of a IT lead or a senior IT person. There is no management or evaluation of other staff members. It's simply based off of the knowledge base, technology knowledge base, as it pertains to the position itself. There's no evaluating whatsoever. It's a non-represented, classified, non-management position, unrepresented.
So is that really the only difference? I'm trying to protect the district here and just making
there are
sure
multiple,
that you have the right answers.
Yeah, so our director position, our previous director position also required a 4-year degree, some management experience. Our program manager position does not require a 4-year degree. It does not require a management position. This person would report to Dr. Gill, whereas the director reported, I believe, directly either to Dr. Gill or to the superintendent. So there's some differences there. The former director position was in charge of creating policy, managing policy. The program manager is not in charge of creating any policies or managing policies. While there is some crossover, obviously, because of what the job entails, as far dealing with the networking and things of that nature, yes, that would be some crossover there. But the job itself is much different. As Superintendent Nicholas pointed out, in our discussions with the county office, the program manager title is a fairly generalized title. And so while it does maybe hint towards some sort of management role, it is not a management role whatsoever.
And I think you hit enough areas to make it significantly different, so I'm satisfied. Okay. I just didn't want the district to step into hot water with that one.
Of course.
Move to approve the new classified unrepresented job description, IT program manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, consider approval of updated CSEA classified job description pending CSEA ratification. IT technician. Staff report?
Basically, the recommendation is based on the size and scale of the amount of technology we have going on here. This position is needed to move from a 10-month to a 12-month position. The scale of work, the amount of stuff we have to do. Again, part of the SJCOE recommendation for how to keep all this stuff going.
Is the push that this is not going through the regular process of coming to us informational because we have several vacancies and you need to get this approved quickly?
No, we brought this forward in November, and this is the first chance we had to get all the work done.
Okay.
When this presentation was made, the hope was that the communication was that we were going to make these staffing changes going into next year, starting with the Tech 2 positions. But the Tech 1 position is a low, simple, basic level, and what we're evolved into is something more sophisticated. And then the summer is a scramble because we created a position for 10 months, and then we're bringing them back and paying them on their off time. So this is just making it what it really needs to be. And we do want to thank Ed Babicon and what's the other gentleman's name? The tall guy? Rames and Robert for they came and kind of did quite a comprehensive study.
I saw a draft of this job description in November?
No, the presentation
of the IT services.
Of the IT services.
Okay, so my question was, usually when we approve job descriptions, Okay, it comes informational one meeting and then approval the next meeting. So I was just curious. I'm not objecting to it at all. I'm just curious.
I thought that was only policy.
Only policy? Okay.
So our practice has been evolving, but with new job descriptions, what we started to do was put them out and let people look at them and review them, but not do a first read, second read because it's not policy.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
But on this one, I think there was a communication. We had a fumble on a communication to how we did that, and so I appreciate the reminder, and we'll share that with everyone.
No, if we don't do it for job descriptions, I'm good. I thought we did it on both. You know, sometimes I get my districts mixed up.
Move to approve updated CSEA classified job description pending CSEA ratification, IT Technician 2.
Second.
I have another question before we vote. It won't change my vote.
I'm sorry, it's
What
too
are
late.
we up to? I'm just kidding. What are we up to in the CSEA ratification? Has it gone to their membership and it's now through the 610 process?
I believe
know?
it's through the go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Yes, it was presented to CSA prior to
Okay.
winter break. My understanding is they're meeting on the 20th, and we should get that back, I would hope, next week.
Okay, I know mine have been coming back really fast.
We would love to have CSEA speed up the 610 process, and I'm sure you feel the same.
Actually, the last one that my group sent to them came back in 2 days. Wow. Yeah. They don't want to deal with my president.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item I, consider approval of independent auditor selection form for 2016-2017. Staff report?
Alvina can give an overview, but this is an annual process.
Yes, we had a 3-year contract that we signed last year, and so this is the second year of 3.
Thank you.
I'll move for approval of independent auditor selection form for 2016-17 as proposed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item J, consider approval of auditor certification form for annual audit report ending June 30th, 2016. Staff report?
I'll defer.
Hi, I have been here 10 years, and in the 10 years I've been here, Bethany, their first year opened, had an audit finding. And I was so proud, year after year, we had 0 audit findings until we opened up Altamont. It's their first audit, and they had audit findings. So I have already been having regular meetings with them, but sometimes having an audit finding and going through a formal process of corrective action, which you will see come to you next month, and providing additional support. But I guess it has to end sometime, right?
It happens.
Not usually to me.
I confess I was a little disappointed to see the internal control deficiency noted.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
you know, it is, in the greater scheme of things, it's not a big one.
No.
And, you know, to commiserate a little with you, since I'm a CFO,
Yes.
checklist, you know, your proposed control, the proposed control of having a checklist so that they know it is so common for people to not want to use the checklist because they're like, oh, I know what to do. And it's not juvenile. And so my exhortation to the team would be 747 pilots, they use a checklist before and after every flight so they don't have to remember what they need to do. Right. Checklists, you know, just right there, checklist, boom, you check them all off and it's done.
And with ASB, it's very common to find audit findings.
More than
This is
very
their first-
common.
This is the first time
Almost
Altamont
every
was-
district gets some teeny tiny ding on ASB.
But I don't like it.
I know you don't like it.
And we love that about you.
Yes.
So I will be bringing forward to the corrective action plan, and because it's due March 15th. You'll see on a future agenda item.
Move to approve audit certification form for the annual audit report ending June 30, 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, information and discussion items, CSBA changes for sex education board policy. staff report?
We drew straws, and Director Sherburne got the short straw to make this short presentation about new SCSBI expectations on this area.
Good evening, trustees, superintendent. It is my pleasure to be here tonight to share with you some information about changes in the law that have necessitated a look at our curriculum and instruction around sex education and HIV/AIDS. Thank you. I'm sorry. And the things that now I've lost my train of thought. And the changes that were brought about by the changes in the law that we'll need to look at with our board policies and administrative regulations. So AB 329 was put into effect January 1st, 2016. And so we are a little bit coming into this game, catching up with it. It did impact Ed Code, and this change really brings about the changes from requiring sex education in high school, which was not required in the past, and marries that to the required HIV/AIDS instruction that did already exist in there. It resulted from a lawsuit against Clovis Unified in which they alleged that there was picking and choosing of what they wanted to teach at the district level for sex education. And the court found that the district violated the law by providing abstinence-only curricula and stated that it is an important public right for students to have access to medically accurate sexual education. And this was basically substantiated by the research that was done by UC San Francisco, saying that there was uneven instruction in sex education within public education. So they found that against Clovis Unified that they did provide inaccurate and biased information because they did not mention in particular the use of condoms as a means of protection against HIV, and they also compared a woman to an old shoe because she was not a virgin still. So the result of the law is that districts are not free to pick and choose what they want to teach. And they are now required to ensure that students are receiving all comprehensive and all medically accurate information available to make informed decisions. They are also required to make sure that they can talk about abstinence as a way to prevent pregnancy, but they cannot provide an abstinence-only curriculum. Promoting the understanding of sexuality as a normal part of human development is a requirement in this. They must include all FDA-approved information about the methods of contraception and prevention of STDs, or sexually transmitted diseases. And they must also include all legally available outcomes of pregnancy, included to parenting, adoption, and abortion as part of this law. Furthermore, it also made requirements about fostering an inclusiveness for LGBT students, and that we are required to provide instruction around different sexual orientations, that we affirmatively recognize that people have different sexual orientations, and we are using examples within our curriculum about couples, that we furthermore include couples of same sex as part of it. The idea is we want to be sure that in our curriculum that we are making all students feel comfortable, including LGBT students in these courses. It further clarified that not only do parents continue to have the rights to opt their children out of sex education classes, that in some cases, schools were opting out. Schools do not have the right to opt out. Only individual parents have the right to opt out. So that was clarified by the changes in this law. Additionally, they want to make sure that we provide accurate information about what healthy relationships are, how they can have positive relationships and safe relationship behaviors and those kinds of things. So you see the information about sex trafficking. More specifically, there was a traditional thinking that no means no in the way that we taught about rape, and now they're taking that one step farther to say it's not just no means no, you really should be seeking an affirmative yes is the only thing that means yes.
Does that have to be in writing?
Probably.
And notarized.
Oops, I'm sorry. So what does that mean as an impact for LUSD on our curriculum and our policies and practices? We'll have a review of the board policies, and we've revised those to reflect the CASBO board policy updates, and we'll be bringing those forward at a future board meeting soon. Practically looking at what has been taught in our high school health curriculum already, we are very much aligned with the new changes in the law already, so practically it's not making a real difference in what we are doing. In the 7th and 8th grade, which is also required, we have one health class that addresses these things in the 7th and 8th grade level and one in the high school level. We already have the course available in 7th grade and in 8th grade. However, we do need to do a review and an update of that curriculum. So that one is a little bit out of date. Currently, we have postponing sexual involvement curriculum in 7th grade, family life education, which is around STDs and birth control in 8th grade. So we'll need to update that. The county is providing and recommending a teen talk curriculum that many districts have been looking at, and so positive prevention plus. So we'll be looking into some of those things. Of course, we'll need to update and do some teacher training as well for teachers to provide that. And we will continue to make sure that, again, parents have the right to opt out if they so desire. So additionally, we've had some discussion around the fact that while it's not required that we provide sexual education in younger grade levels in 7th grade, it is a predominant trend that there is some information, usually 4th, 5th, 6th grade ranges around human development, menstruation, physical body changes, is promoting a healthy image. And currently, we have not had any instruction along those means within Lammersville Unified School District. So we've had discussions and are recommending that we would incorporate some instruction in at 5th grade that would really be limited to that information about the physical changes that are going on in their body, help make sure that boys and girls are prepared with what is going on with those changes, that we would have boys and girls separated for that instructional content, but they would be prepared for the things that are coming up as they are maturing and hitting puberty. And with that, I can address any questions you might have.
Why are we separating the boys and the girls?
I think it's just a recommendation for comfort level at that point in time to make sure, we talked about possibly having a nurse involved as well so that they feel comfortable asking the questions about what's going to happen with my body and what's going on. They have that younger maturity level. So then by 7th and 8th grade, they'll be ready to have some of those more mature conversations.
Yeah, I know a lot of school districts do separate the boys and girls. I totally disagree with it. I taught 6th grade. I did the boys and girls together. I thought the boys needed to know what's going on with the girls' bodies because those are the most obvious changes at that age, as well as the girls needed to know what was going on with the boys' bodies. It's just my own personal opinion. I know most districts do separate them. I don't like it.
Well, and absolutely, and again, you're looking at 6th grade, typically towards the end of the year in 6th grade when it happens. They're a little bit more mature. We're looking at 7th grade right now where we have them combined, but absolutely, it's certainly a consideration for discussion.
As a point of clarification or question on your comment,
Yeah.
Is it that, because I agree that, both boys and girls should know about boys and girls. Is it that they're separating them and they're only teaching one side, or they're separating them and teaching both, about men and women?
That is yet to be determined, what exactly we would like to make sure that we provide within that 5th grade course specifically, but at a minimum, girls understand what's going on with the girls' bodies and boys understand what's going on with the boys' bodies.
Okay, all right.
So at the upper grades, is it taught by a health teacher?
In the 7th and 8th grade, it's taught by the regular classroom teachers, and in the high school, they have a health teacher.
Okay, so my question about the 7th and 8th grade teachers that it's going to be delivered by the classroom teachers, are we prepared to address any teachers who say they have a religious objection to something that's in the curriculum for them that we're expecting them to deliver? Maybe yet to be addressed, but we have to think about that. What?
I said I'm asking him.
Oh.
And we...
It will come up at some time.
Right. I might defer to Dr. Gill because at this point in time, we do have instruction going on by teachers in 7th and 8th grade, and perhaps we've had a past policy around this.
Sometimes procedures and policies only come when there's a problem, when something actually happens. So
case basis.
luckily, we haven't had that issue so far. The beauty of our system is that a group of teachers work together, like a 7th grade. So it's not necessarily only one teacher working with a group of kids. So right now, let's say if we have that situation, that will be deferred to another teacher within that grade level, because they do see all of the school kids at each of the schools. So that's what we have right now, but that doesn't mean that that may not happen in the future, and we may have to look into something like that.
Trustee Lempel, are you suggesting policy around that in anticipation
No,
of it? Or is that something that staff could
It's
deal with when
mostly
it
procedural.
comes up?
Yeah, I think staff can deal with it. I am very satisfied with Dr. Gill's explanation that if there was a problem with one teacher, it is middle school. The kids see all the teachers. Another teacher could be teaching that. I am so thrilled that this law was passed. No one on this dais could be happier than I am, because I wrote an HIV/AIDS curriculum supported by the district when I was a 6th grade teacher, and it was all done, worked on it for 2 years, and they wouldn't let me deliver it. So I am thrilled that this is being done. Our youth need to know how to protect themselves sexually from illnesses that can be avoided.
Yes.
Agreed.
And I look forward to future conversation about the separation of the boys and the girls in 5th grade. I think that, I think that requires some more discussion, because
I think given their maturity level, I think I agree with you that the girls should know what's going on with the boys, but I think working currently with 5th grade students, I'm not sure they're mature enough to be able to sit in a classroom with the boys and handle that information, and vice versa.
Yeah, I have to think on this one. Maybe we come back to it, because I think a good portion of that boils down to classroom management.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe that
Leaving
this will
our
be
two-way
coming,
control.
a recommendation for the policy changes would be coming in 2 weeks.
Yay.
Thank you. Item B, first reading of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Staff report?
So Dr. Gill has put together an executive summary along with all of the board policies as we're kind of getting out of our bottleneck. So this is our first read for a number of policies. So if you have any questions about any particular one, Dr. Gill has done the gathering and presentation of the executive summary.
Not a single question.
On the AR 3311, advertise/competitive bids, if the word responsive is not defined somewhere in, elsewhere in the ARs or BPs, my question is, should we define responsive? Because it says non-responsive bids will not be considered, and I, from my definition, responsive means that it conforms to the request for proposal or request for bid or whatever you want to call it in all material is responsive. And if it doesn't, and frequently they will provide bids that miss this, miss that, and then they expect to give you change orders. And so I just want to make sure that the district thinks that responsive, that we understand what responsive is. That's on page 246 out of 323 on the PDF.
What I was looking for, thank you.
Sorry,
No
I should have identified that in
No
the
problem.
beginning.
So you're looking at number 7, I'm assuming?
I didn't call it up, hold on.
The district shall only consider only responsive bids from responsible bidders in determining.
Yeah, and responsive is a fairly common word, and if it's defined elsewhere in the ARs or BPs, then we don't need to, but if it's not, maybe we.
This specific language is
From the
recommended
state?
by CSBA.
Of
And
course
I'm
it
looking at, okay, so we typically take their recommendations, but we as a district have the right to make any changes we want to.
We can email CSBA and ask them.
Okay, that was my only comment on that whole packet.
Bids.
Definition of responsive.
Yeah, what's a non-responsive bid?
In my experience, a responsive bid is one that meets the request for
Requirements.
proposal in all material respects.
Correct.
So if you said you wanted a signage monument on the street, and they did the building, and they did this, and they did that, and they had everything else in there, they just neglected the signage monument or something minor, then the superintendent or the district staff could say, this is, even though they missed something, it's responsive, this is not a big deal. Or by the same token, the district staff could say, you know what, you missed 5 different items, and between all 5, I'm not going to worry about trying to reconcile your bid to all these other people that spent the time to figure out exactly what we were asking for and provide a bid that met exactly what we were asking for.
What if we were to add the word complete before responsive?
Only complete with bids?
Complete and responsive bids. No, not replacing responsive,
Complete
leaving
and
responsive, yeah.
complete and responsive.
When I
That's
just
the
experienced this, reviewing all the pre-qualification bidding, my department went through all of the high school ones and all of the Hanson ones, and there's a criteria sheet that, we just recently had the board adopt that said the document has to meet all of these criteria, and sure enough, as we sat going through this 7-8 pages of answering the questions, if they didn't meet on the first page, having all the criteria, if they missed the financial statement, we no longer move through it. They
Well,
have to have.
I'm just responding
So
to
complete-
Christy Clement's concern that maybe not everybody knows what responsive means. So it would just support
It's a
it.
good suggestion.
I think
I like
it's
it.
helpful because I would not necessarily have known.
I wouldn't have known that that was a problem. Yeah.
So we can
It's
make,
actually a
make it,
strategy that they use, which is why the word responsive is in there.
So I think.
that's a good suggestion. We
I
can
think
say
we should
complete
add
and
the word
responsive both. Sure.
I think we should go back to CSBA, who
We can
wrote the
definitely ask.
policy, and check with their policy.
Sure. You can ask, what do they mean by word
Raise the
responsive?
question and find out if it might be defined somewhere in a different policy.
And if it is, then great.
But if it's defined in another CSBA policy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's one of our policies.
be
So
referenced.
I'll let staff research that and bring back a recommendation.
Sometimes they have those kind of languages explained in the actual law or the ed code. But in this case, it most probably will be a law because this bids one I know that came from different laws that happened in court cases. So it might have been explained in either the court case. We can look into that as well.
Thanks, that was it.
Sure.
Further questions from the board? Moving on to item C, National School Boards Conference. Staff report?
I was informed that there was some interest in this conference and requested that we put it on here to see if there was additional interest amongst the Board of Trustees.
Are we members of National School Boards Association?
My understanding is that in the past, yes, but not presently.
Okay. So I was the one that asked to bring this because I've spoken with board members in other districts who find the National School Boards Conference very useful. I think for this year, I don't know, for me personally, the timing is too close, and maybe this isn't the right year for us to be looking into it. I also don't know if I want to go to Denver in March. But it's right around the corner in March, and it might be too short, but I would definitely like for us to look into it for future years, since I hear good things about it from other board members in other districts.
Additionally, my request, can you bring back, maybe we should be members of it. If we're going to go to the conference, we should become members of NSBA.
Yeah.
And it's.
I don't know if anyone else was interested in looking into it
I
for
was
this year.
interested. I couldn't make the
but
dates this year, but I'm very
Yeah, and the
interested.
timing was kind of short, and
I'm with the two of you. I would like to continuously be informed, because I would like to consider going, but I can't move things fast enough to go to that.
Right.
In the past, it's been in February. It's kind of late this year.
And they keep going to these cold places. They were in Boston last year. So, and now they're in Denver. I don't do snow on purpose.
I moved for Maui.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I would actually be able to attend, but that's during my spring break. So, but I don't really want to go to Denver. And I think I'm supposed to go to the new board member training in Burlingame that same weekend.
So maybe we can look
So
into
we'll look into
membership
joining the
next year.
membership and also keep it on the radar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Item D, LUSD recruitment and health fair. Staff report?
So this is partially an information discussion item and partly an advertisement, but we'd like to have Dr. Gill first and then Mr. Miller second, talk a little bit about our upcoming recruitment and health fair.
Good evening, Governing Board, Student Trustee, and Dr. Nicholas. So this is our second annual health fair. I say that with a smile on my face because this is a very exciting moment along with our job fair. We had huge success at this health fair last year. Similar kind of format. Instead of doing outside, though, we're going to have it inside because that was the only complaint we had last year. It was too windy and kind of cold outside. But this year it's going to be inside. I'm pleased to say we have lots of interest, not only from just vendors, also organizations like different hospitals who want to come and have booths and other organizations as well. You're all invited. Community members, this is all for the community, a partnership along with CSD and fire department and the sheriff department, that we would like to invite as many community members as to be possible to be out there to promote wellness out there for our children, for the community. I also, even though I'm talking about health fair on February 25th from 9 to 1 at the high school, I also would like to say something else which Mr. Pombo mentioned earlier in the beginning of the board meeting regarding the wellness grant we had to received, because that was part of wellness as well. So I do want to take a moment to thank Samantha Dateveris' mom, because many of these grants, especially through private organizations such as Safeway and many other organizations, like to be sponsored, like to have the organization, which is us, sponsored by an employee. So when I saw this grant, I had to find somebody who works at Safeway. Okay, so we found that Samantha's mom works at Safeway. I personally called her. She sponsored us. Otherwise, without her sponsoring us, we wouldn't even have qualified to apply. So I am through making a sincere request to the community that even if they're very busy, they cannot participate in the grant writing committee meeting, they can't help write grants, if they can just share with us that if their organization, Google and many others out there, we know there are tons of businesses out there who give grants. If their organization give grants, if they can give us their name, their email address, if they can email it to me along with their organization, that is all I really need to get the grants. Because once we have that information, because the other grants we have written, literally the only time we get to a block is we don't have a sponsor, because sponsor has to be an employee. So I'm literally begging to everybody, please, if you can spread the word, anybody who's watching this meeting as well, if you can spread the word, we would really appreciate that. And again, we look forward to seeing everybody at the health fair. There's going to be lots of health and wellness related information along with yummy food. Thank you.
Okay, looking forward
Thank
to
you.
it.
Thank you.
And good evening one more time. And just to tag on to what Dr. Gill was speaking of, Dr. Gill set a very high bar for me this year, as you all know, and I'm going to do my best to reach that bar and maybe even exceed it a little bit. So we're working diligently with Dr. Gill and everyone as well to make sure that the recruitment fair is just as successful as the health fair, but even more so as last year. As you know, there were roughly 257 pre-registered individuals who wanted to come to the recruitment fair last year, and I believe that number reached over or nearly 500, over 500, and so it was quite an outstanding turnout. And so we're anticipating something very similar to that. We have some changes in store, and we're looking forward to some of those changes. But again, it's going to be on February 25th from roughly 8:30 until we finish. We're not giving a deadline on that. We want to make sure that we are getting the most highly qualified individuals for all of our needs. We are anticipating having some openings next year, as you know, and not only for next year, but for the many years to come. This is not only about recruiting future employees, but it's really about presenting our district and advertising our district to everyone. So we're reaching past past our own four walls and trying to get into the Bay Area, Sacramento area, maybe even Southern California a little bit to get our name out there. And so we anticipate to have a nice turnout again this year.
Your date is ideal. I recently attended the advisory council at Teachers College of San Joaquin that Lammersville was not able to attend this time, and the group talked them into having an earlier recruitment fair because there is such competition.
Yes.
And their districts are even willing to consider interns in February. So your date is right on target.
Good. It's nice to hear. We really want to be proactive in our recruitment, so we are prepared for next year.
Yeah, that's not an applicant.
Thank you.
All right.
The calendar items are listed in the agenda. Have a motion?
Motion to
Adjourn to closed session. Oh, God.
Oh, man. He can have it if he wants it that bad.
I've never gotten to do that before. It's always been Shane, hasn't it?
I think so. I'm not seconding, no.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you.